have not done this in a very long time, and we probably need to because we've had rookie news, we've had big time NFL trades, we've had big time NFL free agents. I will be very excited to get this started. I don't want to waste any of your time, but I will anyway. Go join flockfantasy.com. There you can find all of my dynasty rankings, all of the dynasty rankings of your favorite content creators. You're going to have some fun getting in the mock drafts on this channel. Get access to our exclusive videos, live streams, articles. You know it all. Flockfantasy.com. 30% off any subscription with promo code FLOCK. And with promo code FLOCK, yours truly will go through and make a podcast breaking down your dynasty team with the Mother Flocker tier. But let's not waste any more of your time. And let's go ahead and let's dive into this draft here. And we are lucky enough to get the 102 because I chose the 102 whenever I set this up. So we are going to get an elite level quarterback. Kind of funny that you actually have Josh Allen ahead of Patrick Mahomes with sleeper ADP here. I didn't think that's what you should have do last year. I definitely don't think that's what you should do this year. Patrick Mahomes, 101. You don't need to overthink it. Draft him. Move on. But Josh Allen's still a quarterback that has an incredibly high ceiling each and every week, and obviously a very high floor at the same time. We have Jalen Hurts, Joe Burrow going 3 and 4, Justin Herbert 5, super basic draft up until this point. I mean, if you're playing in a super flex league, this is literally about the exact order that you can expect. Once we get to pick 6, this is where you can see things mixed up a bit. And of course, if you play in a one quarterback dynasty league, we have one quarterback rankings available on flockfantasy.com as well. We have super flex, one quarterback, rookie, best ball, pretty much whatever you're going to be wanting is over there. But Justin Jefferson 7, Chase 8. That's my 7th and 8th ranked player as well. In my mind, this is the perfect way to go ahead and set up this draft so far. Lamar at 9. 9, you can go a couple different ways. I'm not going to fault anybody for going Lamar Jackson, Justin Fields here. I personally would go Bijan Robinson, but that's because I'm a psycho. That's because I graduated from the University of Texas. So, of course, I'm going to be a little bit biased there. But I feel like you really just have to lock in those first 8 players. Then afterwards, it's up to you. Do whatever the hell you want. But let's come out here and check the chat. We got a lot of people. We have Imcut, Alfred, Bon, Aredo, Anthony, Patrick, Mr. Keeves. Thank you all, my friend. Tan Solo says he couldn't get in time. I'm sorry, my friend. We'll do it again next week. Mike says, Mason, let me get a flock hat, man, please. LOL. Okay. Mike, I know you are a member of flockfantasy.com, and we have some exclusive merch dropping for members of flockfantasy.com. I don't want to let the cat out of the bag with the shirts. With hats, these will be available on flockfantasy.com very soon. We just have to get the developers to go through and set it up. The developers actually had a rankings update pushed out today, so you're actually able to go through and you're able to filter down by age. I should probably show this off. I mean, let me go ahead and pull this up. So there are a lot of things that we're constantly improving with the site, but once all of those things are done, then we'll go ahead and we will also get... We'll also get y'all hats, maybe shirts. We'll see. We'll see. Okay. A Filthy Fantasy Casual says, let's go. Finally made a stream. Happy to see you out here, my friend. Yeah, we started a little late today. Life's been crazy with the launch of the site and everything. I have a lot of personal things going on at the same time. Got to go on BDG earlier for a live stream. But yeah, it's just been crazy. So I'm sorry this is a little bit later than usual. But maybe it's better if more people are able to make it out. Okay, so Jalen Waddle going 205, Bryce Young 204. Interested to see where we get guys like CJ Stroud as well as Anthony Richardson off the board, because in my mind, Bryce Young and those other quarterbacks are very, very comparable at the moment. Of course, this is my personal rankings, but what I really want to show off real quick for y'all here is obviously you've already seen the rankings on flockfantasy.com. We're actually about to have another big time update with this as well. Let me switch it over just 1 second for y'all. I'm very excited about this new little feature. Okay, so flockfantasy.com, you can see that now. Obviously, you can go through and you can say, okay, I want to add, let me hide this real quick. I want to add Mason's rankings, and instead of sorting by theirs, I'm just going to sort by Mason's. And now at the same time, you know what? In this group, I only want to be looking at players that are younger than 24 years old or younger. So if you're a rebuilding team, then you can go through and you can set up the range in that way. Or maybe you want to see, okay, I want to see what kind of players I should be targeting if I'm going to be contending, and you can go through and change the age. Of course, you can sort by average creator. You don't have to sort by my average one. But I'm actually really excited about that functionality. I think it will help a lot of people out if you're going to be a contending roster or if you are going to be a rebuilder. Well, let's switch us back over because we are about to be back on the clock. We have Amon-Ra St. Brown, Breece Hall going off the board right before we are up. I have a couple different directions I think we could go. Kenneth Walker goes 210. I would have taken Kenneth Walker if he would have fallen to us, but now that he is gone, I feel like we are put in an interesting position where I'm going to go down. I'm going to reach on someone, quote unquote, reach. His ADP is way down here, but I think it's an easy selection of Garrett Wilson at 211 in my mind. I mean, I think Garrett Wilson is a borderline top 5 dynasty wide receiver almost regardless, but especially if you're going to be getting Aaron Rodgers over there, which of course isn't official, but I don't know. It is a little crazy, but okay, now Chris Olave going 301, CJ Stroud 212. Really like the selection of those two players. Honestly, those would have been the two guys that I was looking at if they would have made it back to us. So now that we're back up on the clock, I think that there's really only one direction we can go with. I think we are going to end up taking T. Higgins here. I feel very comfortable with this start so far of Josh Allen, Garrett Wilson, T. Higgins, because it puts me, in my mind, exactly where we want to be 3 rounds through a startup, where we aren't all in on youth, where we have to go for 2024, but we're not all in with contending assets where we have to go for 2023. I think that we're in a very good position in that we can take this draft wherever the value lies later on, where I feel comfortable competing with Josh Allen, Garrett Wilson, T. Higgins, and then at the same time, these are incredibly young players. Like if you're going to look at this, Garrett Wilson's 22 years old. If we're going to be pulling up T. Higgins here, T. Higgins 24. So I'm not feeling the need, oh, okay, well, we have to win now or these players are going to start to lose value. No, you're in a very good position here. Bengals says, snipe me on Wilson. Great picks with him and T. Higgins. Thank you so much, my friend. I'll say I would probably, I don't know if I would probably rather have your start, but it's pretty damn close with the Patrick Mahomes, CJ Stroud, Chris Olave. I mean, Stroud, Olave, Higgins are all in a tier of about 3 guys for me. Anthony Richardson going off the board of the 306. So Joey deciding to go QB heavy here. Really the only thing I disagree with is it's a little early for Dak for me. Personally, I do have Breece Hall, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Kenneth Walker, Garrett Wilson, all ranked ahead of Dak Prescott, but I completely understand if you want to go in that direction. Okay. Parker says, if y'all big enough where you need an account, let me know. LOL. Okay. If you ever want to join the team on flogfantasy.com, go to the description. And this goes for anybody. Shoot me an email. But don't shoot me an email saying, oh, Mason, I would love to work for you. I'd love to be a part of what you have doing. I can do anything you need. That's the most pointless email in the world. If you want to join the team, if you want to join flogfantasy.com, what we have going on, shoot me an email and say, hey, Mason, this is who I am, and this is exactly what I can do, and this is exactly how I would do it to improve what y'all have currently. If you're a graphic designer and you want to join the team, send me something that you think we could actually use right this second. Don't just introduce yourself and say, let me know what you need. You got to go out on your own. Now, John says Tua and Herbert's clean with Breece Hall. You actually really like that start from the 105 as well. We got Herbert, Tua, and Breece Hall all lined up. I mean, I think we may be put in a difficult situation a little later on where we don't necessarily have an easy answer of what we can do at quarterback 2, of course. Now, you do have a lot of flexibility when we get Josh Allen in the first, and that's a big advantage of being able to get one of those top 6 picks and compare to what you're going to be looking at later on. Like having to pick at 11, obviously Bijan Robinson, Jonathan Taylor, Kyle Pitts, phenomenal start. It just really is going to be wildly dependent on, do you get that quarterback value falling to you later on? That's the crazy thing. Okay. So now Kyle Pitts, 311. I have a video coming out shortly about both Drake London and I guess you can kind of throw Kyle Pitts in the mix. Long story short, I think the Atlanta Falcons passing offense was so bad last year that it's difficult for us to go ahead and say, you know what? Yeah, Drake London's not it. No, I think Drake London's a phenomenal player. I think that with that Atlanta Falcons passing offense, they were the 3rd worst passing offense over the past decade. I mean, obviously, it didn't seem like they were that bad because they were much better than the Chicago Bears passing offense this past year. But at the same time, I mean, Chicago was the worst passing offense since 2009. So, I mean, it was just ugly where Drake London and Kyle Pitts, they simply didn't have a fair shot, where I think they're still phenomenal players. And when the offense improves, they should be much better as well. Okay. Now we have JSN 404, Travis Kelce 405. I know we sound like a broken drum, a broken clock, whatever the hell you want to say. I know I've been repeating this all offseason. But in my mind, this is the time to go ahead and sell Travis Kelce. Like, this is the time that it's hard to, in my mind, go through and take someone that's going to be 34 years old this upcoming season that's not a quarterback in the 4th round of startups. Like, are there any quarterbacks that are even that old that are going before Travis Kelce here? No. So it's just, I've drafted him a lot in best ball over the past few years. I don't know. Now, Bobcat coming out of the donation. Thank you, my friend. Says, any chance you'll live stream during the NFL draft? Yeah, so every single year I do live streams. The second that any fantasy football related players picked, I go live and make a video immediately. So if Jahmyr Gibbs ends up getting picked to, say, the Cincinnati Bengals, you will see within 10 seconds a little dumb thumbnail of me up there with Jahmyr Gibbs going Cincinnati Bengals select Jahmyr Gibbs fantasy football reaction. So trust me. I don't know if we're going to be live for the entire 3-hour thing because it's just hard to have a good show and a useful show if we run it in that way. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's find our next guy. I think I have an idea of where we're going. Okay, we're going to go ahead. We're going to take T.J. Hawkinson. In my mind, I would actually much prefer having T.J. Hawkinson in Dynasty at this point over Travis Kelce. I really like the price point that we're going to be getting at the 411 here. There are a few other players that I think we could be looking at, but Hawkinson, in my mind, is just almost an auto pick at this point. Okay. Let's see if Bingle snipes us on our next few guys. Hopefully he's not looking at our rankings over there on FlockFantasy.com. That may be a little bit tough for us, but he goes for Ramondre Stevenson at the end of the 4th. Obviously, we don't have a running back at this point, but you'll never really hear me talking about team need and saying, oh, okay, well, we've drafted a quarterback, 2 wide receivers, and a tight end, so we need a running back. You're not going to hear me talking about that in Dynasty. Definitely not in a startup draft. Let me actually pull up my rankings real quick. FlockFantasy.com, promo code Flock. Let's go over to rankings. Okay, so Christian Watson, 501. Okay, Watson would have been my pick, but I assumed Bingle was going to take him. So now at this point, I think we may have to pivot over, and I think we may have to go to Davante Adams. I mean, Adams, not necessarily a player that I'm super excited about, just given the fact that, hell, the man's 30. You know, we have him ranked, I believe. I mean, on average, his ranking's 46, according to FlockFantasy.com. I have him ranked at 50. We'll go ahead. We'll take Davante Adams here. I'm not a massive fan of the selection. I understand that Davante Adams absolutely crushed this past season. He's the same age as Cooper Kupp, though, even though it's funny because Adams drafted in 2014, Kupp drafted in 2017. Let me really think about this. Should we have gone in this direction? So if you're looking at my rankings in particular, I personally have Davante Adams ranked as the wide receiver 19. I have both Quentin Johnston as well as Jordan Addison, wide receiver 20 and wide receiver 21. Jameson Williams, 22. Michael Pittman, 23. So I had all those wide receivers about in the same range. I really would have preferred if we were able to get Christian Watson making it to us, obviously. But it's just an interesting spot to be in. Let me see where I have Najee Harris in comparison. I have Najee Harris ranked at 49, Davante Adams ranked at 50. So maybe you make the argument, Mason, you have those players ranked back-to-back. You don't have a running back yet. It's close enough to go through and just make a pick based on situation, based on team need. I completely understand that. Quentin Johnston, 505. I like the Quentin Johnston selection. I mean, a wide receiver that I didn't know what we were going to be thinking coming into the Dynasty offseason. You were looking at a lot of NFL mock drafters putting Quentin Johnston as the wide receiver 1. And there I was like, okay, Quentin Johnston's definitely overrated. There we definitely prefer Jackson Smith-Njigba. But it seems like now the dynasty community is in consensus that, yeah, we should be taking Jackson Smith-Njigba over Quentin Johnston. And still, it's not to take anything away from Johnston. It's still a wide receiver that broke out as a freshman, dominated as a junior, declared early, will be a first-round draft pick. He checks almost every damn box. So I actually really like the selection of Quentin Johnston there at the 505. Like we said, we had Devontae Adams, Quentin Johnston, Jordan Addison, all ranked back to back to back. Okay. Okay, John's screaming, how is Danny Dimes still on the board? So Daniel Jones does end up going off at the 507. With Daniel Jones, this is a quarterback that does have rushing upside. So, I mean, obviously, I'm always willing to go in and bet on that QB with rushing upside. I will say the contract is a little bit deceiving with Daniel Jones. I'm not saying he's a bad pick at all in the 5th round. I think in the 5th round, it's very good value with Daniel Jones. But if we are just going to bring up like worst case scenario, this is a player that has guaranteed money for the first 2 years. You know, he's for sure a starter in 2023, 2024. But then at that point, once we get to 2025, 3 seasons from now, he is pretty much on a prove-it deal where they could move on from him and save, I believe, like a total of $70 million, if my math is correct. My little napkin math. He'd still have $18 million against the dead cap, but he would be owed about 100. Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, they would save even more than that. Long story short, Daniel Jones has the guaranteed job security over the next 2 seasons. But after that, if he does fail, then the Giants are going to be able to get out of him. And I don't necessarily think that's a guarantee, but who knows? Who knows? Yeah, Damian says Daniel Jones, a steal there. Darren says, let's go Danny Dimes as well. So it looks like a lot of people love the Daniel Jones pick. I mean, I'll definitely say that the players that go after Daniel Jones, I would personally prefer Daniel Jones over. So we have a little run on wide receiver here going Pittman, Burks, Pickens, Ayuk, Debo, Godwin. My favorite wide receiver probably in that range is going to be Debo Samuel at the 603. I really like what you're going to be seeing there. We had a DJ Moore article that we wrote last week, I want to say, that you'll see a video of it coming out this week. Dallas Goedert, 606. Really like the Dallas Goedert selection. I mean, obviously, this is a tight end that we don't need because we have TJ Hawkinson. But if he would have fallen to us at the end of the 6th, the beginning of the 7th, I personally would have gone ahead and I would have taken him, if I'm going to be honest. Okay. So Goddard, 606. What are we going to be looking at afterwards? Let me go ahead and let me pull up my rankings, see if we can find something. Jameson Williams. Okay, with Jameson Williams, with where he was going previously, I thought it was a little too aggressive, but honestly, at this price point, Jameson Williams, a 607, I actually really do like. I'm not going to argue about this price at all. You know what I tried setting up, but it looks like it's not working. I tried setting this up last week. I need to figure out how to do it. I tried setting it up where like people could go through and like have like a Twitch membership, like a YouTube membership on the channel. But yeah, I'm looking at my phone and I don't think we successfully did it. It is what it is. Well, I'll look into that afterwards. Russell Wilson going at the 608. Jared Goff, 609. Okay, what are we doing here? We are going to be scrolling way the hell down for our next player. We are going deep here, ladies and gentlemen. I think he's a phenomenal value, but according to ADP, it looks like we could possibly get him on the way back around. I don't want to have to rely on that. However, just given the fact that Bingle is willing to go down there, he's willing to look for those players as well. So Kirk Cousins off the board. I'm going to go ahead. We're going to scroll way the hell down here. I'm going to take Jahan Dotson. I mean, if you're looking at my rankings, Jahan Dotson should have gone a long time ago in this draft. If you were in another dynasty league, maybe you could wait a little bit longer on Dotson. But in my mind, I think if we're going to be comparing him to like DJ Moore, Chris Godwin, Ayuk, Pickens, give me Dotson over all those players. Bingo says we sniped him. Yeah. So that's what I figured Bingo would be on Dotson there. And that's why I didn't want to roll the dice that we had him making it back to us at the 702. How far has DeAndre Swift fallen? Let me pull up my rankings. Where the hell do I have Swift ranked? Okay. It is so much better pulling up flockfantasy.com to find these rankings than a Google sheet. We need to move Swift down. We're going to take him here. Looking at my rankings. Yeah, it's crazy that I still have DeAndre Swift over Zach Charbonnet. I need to fix that. We'll take DeAndre Swift as our RB1 here. Actually, no. Just because he's ahead of Zach Charbonnet, I don't think we have to make that decision. We're going to go ahead. Please let me know what you think in the live chat now that we have David Montgomery going over to Detroit. This will be another selection we scroll way the hell down for. But we're going to go ahead. We're going to take Zach Charbonnet. It's a running back that, of course, we haven't seen yet where the draft capital lies, but I'm pretty confident in saying that he will be a day 2 NFL draft pick. He has the size to be a 3-down player. He was a phenomenal pass catcher at UCLA this past year. So I'm fine with the selection at the 702. I don't want to act like it's the best thing in the world. Obviously, we have to scroll down a bit according to ADP to grab him. Very similar to what we had to do with Jahan Dotson, but I'm personally fine with it. Okay, so Kyle says, Kenneth Walker or the 103. So if you're going to be looking at this draft, Kenneth Walker actually goes off the board right before CJ Stroud, who would have been the 103. I really think it's going to be up to you, my friend. John says, Montgomery got Swift falling hard for sure. Definitely a low floor, high ceiling guy. Bending says, should I try to sell Swift for the 110 to try to get Zach Charbonnet? See, that's what I'm kind of asking you. I'm kind of asking you all that right now. Clearly, I have DeAndre Swift on flockfantasy.com ranked as the running back. Let me pull this back up. As the running back 15, I have Zach Charbonnet ranked as the running back 16. So I have Swift one spot ahead of Charbonnet, but I don't know. I don't know if we should stand by that or be willing to pivot. Jordan Love off the board there in the 7th round. If I'm going to be honest, if we're looking at the wide receivers that are still available, I would probably have rather gone like Russell Wilson, 605, and then take whatever wide receiver makes it back around to you in the 7th. Okay. Alfred says, I think Montgomery plays that Jamal Williams role, if not bigger. Swift still clearly can't stay healthy. Brandon says, I think Swift will get the role he had at the end of last year. Montgomery, a better version of Jamal Williams. Bending says, I guess it depends on the landing spot and draft capital for Zach Charbonnet. That's probably the correct answer. It's probably very difficult to figure out who you're wanting between those two players until we actually get that confirmation with the NFL draft. I don't know. Such an interesting spot. I think you could also make an argument. Well, Mason, you go Davante Adams. It's a team that you're possibly wanting to win now with. It doesn't make more sense to go Nick Chubb over Zach Charbonnet. That could also be a very valid point if we're going to be honest. Okay. Adam says, are you going to go T. Higgins or Chris Olave? Let me go ahead and let me pull up my rankings on flockfantasy.com, my friend. You can find all these answers. Currently, I have Chris Olave ranked 22 overall, and I have T. Higgins ranked 25 overall. Other wide receivers I have in that range, I go Olave, Higgins, Devonta Smith, Drake London. Now, Miles Sanders off the board at the beginning of the 8th. I mean, with Miles Sanders, you're very confident that he is the starting running back for the Carolina Panthers this upcoming season based on the contract that he got. Now, of course, the question is, okay, well, what does this offense look like? How many points can this offense actually put up? Dameon Pierce off the board here in the middle of the 8th. I really like the Dameon Pierce value, if I'm going to be honest. I probably would rather have Dameon Pierce over Miles Sanders, over J.K. Dobbins, even though we were saying to sell Dameon Pierce halfway through the year, just given the lack of team investment. But yeah, going back over and looking at Miles Sanders again, it's a running back that's guaranteed to, I don't want to say be the starter, but guaranteed to be on the roster with the role over the next 2 seasons. Zach Evans, 805. I hate it. Not going to lie. I hate the Zach Evans pick. I'm just not a big Zach Evans guy. If Zach Evans would have came in and shown the size to be a 3-down player, then sure, I'm all about it. But Zach Evans goes to the NFL Combine, isn't an elite athlete, and isn't massive. So it's a little difficult for me to get very excited. Pride Cole says Olave or the 105. 105, you're going to be looking at like Jackson Smith and Jigba range, and I'm definitely going to be going Chris Olave there. I mean, based off what Chris Olave showed us, if we actually just wrote a Chris Olave article on flockfantasy.com looking at the natural progression for a wide receiver that had as good of a rookie season as he did, and then also talking about the quarterback upgrade that he gets. Long story short, very excited about Chris Olave. There's a reason we rank him as a second-round startup pick. Okay. Where are we going now? Evans off the board. Did Tyler Algier get drafted? No. Probably go ahead. We'll take Tyler Algier. Very similar to Dameon Pierce. Running back that doesn't have a ton invested into him. You could see the Atlanta Falcons definitely decide to do something at the position or replace Tyler Algier sometime soon. But at the same time, that's very much baked into his price here, where he's going after Mike Evans, drafted in 2014. We're going to be taking him directly over these 2017 running backs with Joe Mixon, Dalvin Cook, Alvin Kamara, Aaron Jones. If you're looking at my rankings, I have Tyler Algier ranked as running back 22. We have Cam Akers a little bit beyond there. I need to move Miles Sanders up these rankings. Stafford goes 901. What other quarterbacks would be available to us here? We'll figure out the quarterback position another time. Let's go through. And do we take Pacheco? We'll go ahead. We'll take Isaiah Pacheco, going right back to what we were just talking about with Tyler Algier. Running back that flashes year one, you naturally assume, oh, okay, well, the player will be better in year two, right? Well, that's not necessarily a guarantee. A running back that doesn't have a lot of pedigree, a running back that doesn't really have anything invested into him. We have no idea what the Kansas City Chiefs will decide to do. Possibly look to replace him. We don't know. So it's not as easy as saying, okay, well, he's good year one, going to be better year two in an elite level offense. There is natural uncertainty and there is downside to both of these selections. But at the same time, we're just looking at the game through probabilities and saying, well, if he somehow, some way dodges the NFL drafts, they don't bring in serious competition, then at that point, if he is the starting running back for the Kansas City Chiefs and continues to progress in year two, in my mind, he could be a player that rises up draft boards quickly. Okay. John says, really liking the 104's team. Nice win now / youth balance. Yeah, so you have Burrow, quarterback, with Jared Goff as well. Wide receiver, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Stephon Diggs, Terry McLaurin, DeAndre Hopkins. Running back, Etienne, Najee, and Joe Mixon. Yeah, I really like that team as well. I really do. Zay Flowers, 906. Peanut Butter and Waivers says, I like a Swift to Kansas City trade. I think that sounds very much like a perfect Madden / fantasy football scenario where it doesn't really make a lot of sense from an NFL standpoint. Like in reality, why would the Detroit Lions sell DeAndre Swift? Like if they're moving on from Swift, they're probably looking at a day 3 pick or maybe 2 day 3 picks. Is that really going to help their team? In my mind, they probably are very happy about the combo of David Montgomery and DeAndre Swift. I think both those running backs complement each other nicely. And yeah, maybe DeAndre Swift could do a little bit more elsewhere, but do they prefer DeAndre Swift doing a little bit more elsewhere or just getting the most for DeAndre Swift on their own team? So, I mean, if DeAndre Swift were to be traded to Kansas City, I think that would also be a natural fit and that he would be a much better version of Isaiah Pacheco. But I'm sorry, a much better version of Jerick McKinnon to play alongside Isaiah Pacheco, but I don't really see it happening. Yield Fates joining as a member. Thank you, my friend. I didn't know if that was set up properly, but okay, so it looks like Yield Fates. Can you let me know how you did that? Because on my phone, I couldn't figure it out. Thank you so much, my friend, but how did you do that? You're going to have to fill me in here. Okay, so Keenan Allen, Mike Williams go off the board at the end of the ninth. I actually like the Mike Williams price point. Way more reasonable than what we had a year ago in my mind. Roll Tide says, Mason, what are you thinking about KJ Osborne now that we have no Adam Thielen? I think in reality, yeah, KJ Osborne's a player we want to root for. This is a player that literally saved someone's life this offseason. What we're probably going to see is the Minnesota Vikings go out there and take another wide receiver in the NFL draft, probably use TJ Hawkinson, who we take here at the 4-5 turn, more so as just the second option in that offense. I think KJ Osborne can be an effective player from a best ball perspective, like if you were drafting on underdog, but no, we're good. Okay, Bingo says there's a button that says join right next to the subscribe box. Is that on the phone? Can you do that on your phone? That's what I'm asking. Do I need to update YouTube? Try to go ahead and update YouTube. Maybe that'll help. Evan Ingram, 10:05. Dalton Schultz, 10:01. Oh, I didn't even notice. We had Michael Mayer go off the board before Zay Flowers in this draft. I definitely would prefer just going ahead and taking Zay Flowers. Like if you were going to want a tight end, I think that probably better off just getting a discount veteran rather than trying to hit on a rookie, even if it's a good profile. Justin says he doesn't see it on his phone. I don't see it on my phone either. I think I set this up wrong. Yield Fates, it'd be phenomenal if you could tell me how you joined as a member. I'm updating YouTube now to see if there's like a button that pops up. Devin Achane off the board at the 10:06. Keyshawn Boutte, 10:08. Okay, let's swing this around. Oh, dear God. We have some veteran running backs. I don't want to say his values on the board, but we have some veteran running backs still on the board. Juju Smith-Schuster. Okay, I think I know what we're doing. So Rodgers went. It would have been nice if we had Rodgers making it back to us, but it was probably a pipe dream. I still do not see the join button. I think I need to set it up differently. Okay, so I think we're going to go ahead and take David Montgomery here. I'm not going to think about this one too much. A.J. Dillon would have been a player I'd be very excited to take if it wasn't for Aaron Jones restructuring his contract, but now it looks like Aaron Jones is going to be guaranteed to be there the next 2 years. Now that we have this decent David Montgomery deal happening, I'm more confident that Montgomery is someone we can rely on for quite some time. Now we're back up on the clock. Are we going to want to go ahead and take another tight end, or do we go A.J. Dillon, saying what happens if you end up getting an Aaron Jones injury? I think you can kind of go in either direction. I don't like the wide receivers that are available here. We'll go A.J. Dillon. F it. I mean, I know we're just taking a ton of running backs in a row, not necessarily something we're excited to. So we'll go Montgomery, Dillon, 10-11. I think these are running backs that are both guaranteed to have roles this next season. But if you were to want to see them actually hit their true ceiling, you would need an injury to either DeAndre Swift or Aaron Jones. Okay. Yield Fates, my man, you got to let me know in the live chat how you joined as a member. Take a screenshot of the join button where it is. Send it to me somewhere. That way just have... Okay, so it says this dumb thing still won't let me chat. Sorry for the timeout in the draft. Trying to figure this out, but it won't let me chat. Okay. Well, anyway, sorry. I don't know what's going on with YouTube. Thank you so much, my man, of course, for being a long-time member of the flock. If you need to send me a message on Discord to let me know how you joined as a member, that'd be great. I just don't see it on my phone, so I don't know if we set it up correctly. Joey says, how do you feel about the 106? And congrats on the new site. Thank you so much, Joey. Really hope you're enjoying the new site. There's literally nothing I've been more proud of than what we've been able to do with that. So 106, I said this earlier on, I don't personally love the Dak Prescott selection there in the middle of the second round. I really do like pretty much the value we get across the board elsewhere. However, if we're going to be looking at Addison 506, I think that's probably, it's a good pick, but like if we were going to be looking at, say, swapping the second and fifth rounders with positions, like I think I would have rather taken a wide receiver there in the middle of the second, whether that's Amon-Ra St. Brown or Garrett Wilson, and then taking Daniel Jones in the 5th. Like personally, I probably would rather have Amon-Ra St. Brown, Daniel Jones than Dak Prescott, Jordan Addison, or maybe you can go Breece Hall there instead, like Daniel Jones, Breece Hall. Jameson Williams, 607. I like the value. Kenny Pickett, I like the value. Obviously, as quarterback 4, you're going to be looking to trade. James Cook, 807. I like it. Zay Flowers, great value. Kadarius Toney, I'm not a big Toney guy, but I will say out of all the wide receivers that are available on the board right now, probably about the best. And David Njoku, I would have considered taking at the beginning of the 11th if we didn't have TJ Hawkinson as is. So I really like the team. The only thing I possibly would have changed was the second round selection of Dak Prescott. Big Jim Jean says on mobile or PC for the join button is what you need. Yeah, like the join membership button. I know it worked because Yield Fates joined as a flocker, but I do not see it on my phone. Maybe I need to pull it up on the computer, but I want to be able to have people do it on the phone as well. I don't want it to just be a computer thing. Okay, so Michael Thomas, 1206. Okay, I see it on the computer. I can see you join on the computer. That sucks you can't do it on the phone. Can you really not do it on the phone? Big Jim Jean says join on the right side of the chat, blah, 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 just above the name. Okay, so Sky Moore, 1207. Brandon Cooks, really liked the value at the beginning of the 12th round. I mean, with Cooks, I think it's a perfect landing spot in exactly what the Dallas Cowboys need. I think it's almost a win-win for both parties there. So let's go through, find our next guy. Sam Howell going off the board, 1209. Are we just going to go ahead and are we going to take Hendon Hooker? Not an exciting pick to say the least, but a quarterback that has rushing upside. I don't know if we will ever get to see him start in the NFL. There's a good shot we don't. But if everything were to work out and he were to be a starting quarterback in the NFL, I would feel comfortable about starting him with this team, just given the rushing upside. But of course, we would need to trade for a quarterback if this was a real league, almost regardless. But I think that's all we have. Of course, thank you so much for everybody who joined this draft with us. If you want to join our next one, if you want access to my rankings, access to the rankings of all your favorite fantasy football content creators, flockfantasy.com, promo code FLOCK, 30% off any subscription. And at the same time, get your team a podcast from yours truly. But thank you so much, everyone. I really do appreciate you. Really hope you have a great day. And I may go live later tonight, depending on how the rest of the day goes. But thank you so much.